So Liverpool played Tottenham last night and they were victorious 3-1, and I've got a big smile on my face, and I'm sure Robbo has as well. So joining me to have a little chat about the game is Gareth Roberts from the Anfield Wrap. Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Much better after that one last night. Much needed win there.
Yeah, completely. So just to start with, I think the first place to start is the team lineup. So we were looking at it. We've heard that Matip's back. We've heard Henderson's back. You're thinking brilliant, nearly a full strength team. And then just before the kickoff, you heard that Firmino isn't fit. So, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was just like, just when you think, as you say there, we're starting to get some names back and we're getting close to a full strength side, and then it's like, bang, Fabinho's out. And it was sort of, it was something we could all see coming, wasn't it? I think we've all been saying all along, oh, imagine he got injured as well. and then, there it is. He's injured as well. And yeah, it was tough to take, and even tougher when you see, Matip on the pitch and perform so well first half, and then he doesn't re-emerge for the second half, and it's like, God, it's just felt like, one thing after another for weeks, really, with Liverpool. And I think you can see it in the manager's face and demeanour as well, that he's just like, anything else. And then, when we do win, when we do score there, he's looking up to the gods, and it's a real sort of emotional celebration from the manager. And I think it was from everyone, because it did feel like, it was a moment that could go wrong for us again. And I think had we lost that one, that would have been, that would have just crushed whatever confidence there was left. Whereas I think now, hopefully, things will go the other way. I think, in a way, it was a bit of a cup final last night. It was like, whoever wins this one can still say, without looking daft, we've got a sniff of the title here. And thankfully it does on the right end of that, and not Spurs.
I thought Spurs started well. Obviously, we had that big chance at the beginning. And Spurs come into it and they played some amazing football. Just the way, I'll get into Mourinho in a bit, but did you think that we were going to struggle in those early stages?
I thought it's always interesting. I think with Liverpool lately, you've been able to almost sniff early on what type of performance you might get from them. And I thought we looked good, and we obviously got that chance very early on, less than 2 minutes on the board there for Mane, and he sort of tries to take it with his wrong foot, really, and fluffs it, and then next minute Son's got it in the back of the net the other end, and it was a bit like, oh, here we go again. It's another one of those days. And who would have thought John Moss was an unlikely hero for Liverpool? Finally we get a VAR decision our way this season. I think it was the first decision that's gone for Liverpool. So, despite all this Liverpool that exists in the world of, all these opposition supporters, we've actually not had much going our way. So it was nice to get that. And then I think from there on in, we started to look the better side then. And dominated possession first half, created, 2 or 3 really good chances. And the only thing was not taking them again, really, and not putting it in the back of the net. And, that's obviously been a recurring theme. So to get the goal when we did, I know it's a cliche. Yeah, it was a really good time. And it being deep into injury time, all the cliches, isn't it? Changes the halftime team talk and psychological blow. But those cliches are true. And those cliches are there for a reason. And I thought that would be massive for Liverpool. And I thought we deserved it as well on the balance of play. As you say, Spurs did cause us problems. You'd want them to. You'd expect them to. They're meant to be a good side. They're a big club. They've got a big manager. They've got a big ground. All of those things. You expect them to be walking the walk. But, that's why it's such a big win for Liverpool, though, for all of those reasons. Because Spurs, want to be on our ground, if you like. They want to be winning trophies. They want to challenge Liverpool's place in the hierarchy, if you like. Yeah. So I always think, when we're playing them, it's important to put them back in their place. And we have done.
Yeah, completely. It's funny you mentioned John Moss there, because I know Adam Smith quite well.
Oh yeah.
So he did a little chat with me, and he went on a rant about John Moss. This was weeks ago, and he was like proper having a go at John Moss, which I thought was hilarious. I actually watched that game the other day because it was that funny again, because it was just funny. Anyway, I just texted him last night, John Moss, and he was like, "Yeah, but I bet he wasn't controlling it. He still started having a go at him." Speak to Adam about John Moss. It's hilarious. Got a real problem with it. So he was going on about his fat fingers or something. It was so funny.
We'll have to get him a John Moss t-shirt, won't we?
definitely.
Liverpool's unlikely hero.
Before we go into praising individual performances, because I want to give you that opportunity, because there was quite a few. Just on Mourinho, you know, from a tactical point of view, when you listen to the Anfield Wrap, you know, Neil Atkinson and the boys are unashamed as saying, if you want to beat Liverpool, you have to cheat, and you play someone in the space that Trent vacates.
Yeah.
And you wonder why he decided to play like base pretty much a 5 at the back, a 2-man midfield. The midfield, the two lads did the best in there, but I didn't think they were a match for our lads. And then you didn't really see them get much joy down that left-hand side. Did you wonder why he'd played the way he has? Because all the way through, I'm going, if you want to beat Liverpool, there's a plan, and you're not doing it. You're doing your own thing, which is a bit strange.
Yeah, it is a bit strange. It seemed maybe born out of worry a little bit that, you know, for all that we've had to endure all this talk of Liverpool, you know, throwing it away and lost it and not looking the side they have been. I like Thiago's interview that I seen on BT Sport before the game, where he was saying there's an argument to be made that we should have won a lot of these games. You know, we haven't been that far off. And even the Man United game, and I know like this is a type of conversation that if other fans of other clubs are watching it, they go, you know,
yeah.
But let's put banter in the bin for a bit and talk honestly about it. I honestly think, you know, there's a case to be made for that. We should have had more points on the board. We should have took Man United to at least extra time, if not won it. And, you know, crucial things have just sort of gone against us, and that can obviously affect confidence. And that's why I like the way Thiago talked about it in that interview, because I thought, well, if you're kicking round, which he obviously is, and he's in dressing rooms and he's on training pitches and all the rest of it, and you're talking like that, I like that. Do you know what I mean? Because he was really positive, and he was saying, listen, this isn't a crisis, you know, it's going to come and all the rest of it. And then it did. And it was like, Thiago, you are God. You can see into the future. And I think Mourinho, he's not daft, whatever you want to say about him. And he's got loads of respect for Liverpool if you look hard enough for it. And I think he's worried about you know, Liverpool's attacking strength, and that's why he set up in the way he did. Because he's been talking them down quite a lot, I think, through the season. Even when they were top, you know, he didn't have that sort of bolshy Mourinho about him. He was more like, we might not stay up here, you know. And like, equally, he's got a cob on almost about the way people have talked about Liverpool at times, saying, well, everyone's got injuries and blah, blah, blah. And you still got him, and him. And look, if you cut through the bullshit of, you know, he's easy to hate, and I get that, he's actually been back. It's a backhanded compliment to how good Liverpool are. He was worried about Liverpool, and he was right to be, because, you know, Liverpool came out there like a boxer who wanted to win in the first round. Do you know what I mean? And you know, I thought it was. I mean, and I'm jumping ahead here, but thought, for instance, Milner, you know, was really setting a tone for Liverpool in terms of his performance, the tackles he was putting in, just having his nous on the pitch was fantastic last night, I thought.
Just going back to, I mean, I was thinking the other day about Thiago. Can you imagine them having a team meeting and Thiago sort of just sat there and they're all chatting away, and then one of them goes, "What do you think, Thiago?" And then he gives can you imagine the experiences he's had in his life? He must have something to say, must be an influence. So I think
but it looks that way because, you know, another little thing I spotted, I mean, we are all stuck behind television screens currently, which is a shame, but it does give you the opportunity to watch little bits and notice things that you maybe wouldn't normally. And after that interview, BT Sport seemed to have a little problem with turning the crowd noise on for a little bit, and you could hear sort of producers muttering and things like that, and they were showing a bit of sort of in the tunnel and just before the teams were walking out, and Thiago was going round Liverpool players and having like little individual what looked like pep talks. And you know, he's not the captain, but he is someone who's won, I mean, they kept going on about it, and he's 9 titles in 10 years, or 8 in 9, or whatever it might be. And as you say, loads of experience. Look, everyone obviously respects the fella. And I just think that, you know, there's still levels to come from him. I think he looked a bit leggy last night. But him just being about and having that nous and saying something different maybe as well, because, you know, you got to remember that most of the core of this side has been together now for quite a significant amount of time. And one of my worries that I haven't voiced very often is, when does it run out? When the messages stop working from the manager, from players, from teammates, whatever it may be. And I just think having that freshness in there of Thiago, as you say, with his experience and his stories and all the rest of it, it is massive. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but just seeing him knocking around, having those little words before the game kicked off, I really like that.
Oh, that's what we do, though. We read into everything like way too much, don't we?
You've got it, though.
I mean, I think the genesis of that performance yesterday was seen in the second half against Man United. 100%. We looked for a good 25-minute spell. I know they scored. It was unfortunate, but we looked like us again, which we hadn't looked like for the previous 4 games, and that was the positive thing. And maybe, from what you said, maybe Mourinho's looked at that and thought, we need to be on our guards, because if that's how they play, we're going to struggle. Let's get to the brilliant bit. Let's praise our boys, because there was some fantastic performances. I agree with you on the Milner thing. Who else did you think played well?
I think the massive one was Trent, wasn't it? Because all season, we've been watching a lad toil a little bit. We can go through the reasons why that might be. He obviously had COVID. He's not had much of a rest. He's been playing continuous football for a long time. He's only 22 years old. All of those things. But, he's been so vital to what we've done and the way we play. And, he's almost the playmaker from right back, isn't he? And to see him so off form, the other week lashing all those crosses in and none of them finding teammates and all that kind of thing. You just wondered when it would end, really, and would Klopp even maybe consider dropping him and things like that. But he stuck with him. He said he'd play him through it, and it looks like he's finally emerging the other side. And it was just really nice to see him, the proper Trent. He scored a goal, he set a goal up, but also even defensively as well. There was one where Tottenham caught us a little bit on the break, and it was Trent who sprinted back and I think got at Son and won the ball back and stopped the break. That looked dangerous. And just little moments like that, defensively and offensively, he looked like the Trent that we know and love. And it's obviously massive for him to get a goal, massive for him to tee one up for a teammate as well. And I just think that might open some doors for him now, a bit of light in the darkness and all the rest of it, because he will have known, he will have been beating himself up. I mean, anyone who's read about him, seen him do interviews, all the rest of it over the years, will know he's very, introspective. He'll be going over everything that he's done. There's that time, of course, when he literally apologised for the game against United when Rashford got the better of him, and it was a bit like, well, it's just a game of footy, mate. You don't need to apologise. Like, these things happen, but he obviously felt he did. He's a bit like Gerrard in that respect, in that, and again, if you've read Gerrard's books, he's up nights analysing and everything, thinking about his own game. He's not just sort of like throw the boots off, jump in the car and forget about it. And I think Trent's a little bit the same. So it'll be massive for him mentally, I think, that he's had that game he had last night. And, I think anyone who, like me, stupidly took him out your fantasy footy team might be sticking him back in again for the weekend. But yeah, that was massive, I think, him having that performance. And the other one for me was Bobby as well. You're spot on there talking about what we saw at Old Trafford, because at Old Trafford as well, you obviously saw a bit to Bobby there as well, where you were like, hello, this is the fella.
And when he plays, we play, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And again, he's getting the goal there, albeit a tap in, but the all count, and he all of a sudden his touch looks better. The timing of his passes. I mean, he got criticised for one where I think it was McManaman was saying he'd taken too long, but I think he was just waiting for the right run, the right moment to release it. And I didn't entirely blame him for that one. And I think if you look at his stats from last night as well, he hardly gave the ball away and stuff like that. So a lot more things all of a sudden are coming off for Firmino, and that makes a huge difference. I think it made a difference that, what we did as well in terms of just having Thiago a little bit further forward as well. As I say, I don't think he had the best game in the world.
Out of the three, he was probably when I say worst, I'm not saying he's terrible. Yeah. Out of the three performances, his was less, I thought, than Milner's and Ronaldo's, but still effective.
Absolutely, and throwing in tackles and mouthing off to the referee and doing all that bits that doing all the bits that you maybe don't associate with him. And I think his time will come. He'll get better and better as it goes on. But I just, I like the performance, and as you say, there are individuals there. Definitely Trent, definitely Bobby, definitely Milner. But across the pitch, there was no one really that you could say had a bad game. There was no one you would be overly criticising.
No.
I mean, maybe me being a bit daft, but I really enjoyed Nat Phillips just coming on and cleaning the fella out. You know what I mean? I know he got a yellow card for it, and it was a little bit of a well, you're on a tightrope now, lad. But
no, but it was letting them know that he was there. And
yeah,
I thought he was solid when he didn't really get tested, did he? But
no,
I just think he was solid. That's all you need him to do.
yeah.
Head the ball.
And that's probably what we just need him to do again at the weekend against West Ham. Big physical side. We're going to have to protect him. We know that he hasn't got the greatest pace in the world and all the rest of it. But if you're asking him to just win headers in the main, he's pretty good at that. He's all right at that. So, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I think loads and loads and loads to be positive about last night. And, whatever way you look at it statistically, what you saw with your eyes, whatever you want. I mean, I did see one weird spin on it this morning, which I thought, I'm not really having that. And it was an anti-Liverpool spin, which was, well, if Son had scored and this and that, the other, and it's still easy to get at them. I mean, Spurs didn't create any big chances across the 90, so, aside from an offside goal. So there's not a lot to worry about there. And, Højbjerg hitting that one, he'll never hit one like that again in his life. Do you know what I mean? I'm still not convinced he meant it. You know what I mean? Like if it was Stevie sort of slicing across it like that and putting it in the corner in that manner, you'd say, oh, well, he definitely meant it, whereas not so sure when it's coming from his boot.
Oh, it was, it was just one, when it went in, I couldn't believe it. I thought, well, here we go. This is going to turn again. But to be fair to them, they held out. And it was a fantastic performance. Where do you think this leaves us in the big picture of the league and where we are at the moment?
Still with a chance, isn't it? Which is good enough for now to say that. Because as I say, if we got beat, I think you all of a sudden you're out of it. Really, if we're all being honest. Whereas I thought it was interesting. The odds were changing before our eyes last night. All of a sudden now Liverpool are back in to being second favourites to win the league. City are clear favourites. They obviously got a game in hand as well as they're already 4 points ahead of us. So it's going to take a big effort to bring that back around. We, of course, have got to play City soon, so that, if we can get something over them there, that would massively help. But I just want to see Liverpool now sort of be the Liverpool that I know and love. Obviously win more often than not, score more often than not, and just challenge and see where we end up. Because, I don't think it's beyond the realms to suggest that other clubs experience what we have, a load of players going down injured and things like that, because the schedule's so tight and so concertinaed into a small space of time that it could easily happen. And OK, City have got the squad perhaps to deal with it, would be the counter argument. But I just think we should see, because, 2016 when Leicester winning, that annoyed me, that as a Liverpool fan, having waited all of those years to try and win the league, and then we're not in contention.
This is a thing for you, this, mate, because you mentioned this.
Oh, mate, it really does me head in. It really does me head in. It's like, I'll have to get over it one day.
You'll have to let it go,
But you know what I mean? It's like, we should have been there. It should have been us.
Yeah, totally.
And I kind of think, we don't want to have those regrets this season, so let's just stay in touch. Let's keep winning. Let's remain positive, and let's see where we end up. And look, I think, United, obviously, are not as previously sold to us, Brazil 1970 reincarnated. They're in fact a side that can lose to Sheffield United. Yeah. So, all of a sudden, they're dragged down a little bit. And I just think there's a chink of light there for Liverpool to go for it. But massively, it's going to depend on what we do in the transfer market the next few days as well. And look, I'd like to think Liverpool are having conversations and trying to make things happen. They surely are. I mean, Klopp in his press conference just now was saying, it's mad if you don't think we have the same ideas as you all come up with. So they must surely be talking about it. Agents, I'm sure, all over the world will be offering Liverpool players. They will have been quoted fees for players and stuff like that. They've got to have a big sit down and bite the bullet here, because I know our owners are quite risk averse and they like everything to be planned and they like to, look into the future in that way. But you've literally had, it was 8 years ago now, wasn't it? But when John Henry did the open letter to fans, he talked then about not being into short-term fixes. But it's exactly what Liverpool need though right now. We need a short-term fix. We need an experienced centre-half who can come in and do a better job than Nat Phillips and Reece Williams. And surely there is one in world football who wants to play for the champions who can do just that. So we'll see. They've obviously got till Monday, 11 o'clock. So we can play West Ham with another patched up, defence. That's what it's going to be. Matip's going to be out. Fabinho's out again.
Henderson was outstanding last night.
He was really good, mate. Yeah, really, really good. When you consider he's only played a handful of games there, it was a great performance at centre-half, and I imagine he's there again on Sunday. Yeah. But, by the time we play Brighton next week, we could have an experienced centre-half who's got, caps internationally and has seen it all before, playing for Liverpool at centre-half. Now, a bit like the Thiago thing, what a boost that would be to everyone as well. Yeah. What a statement that would be. That would be saying to everyone, we haven't given up on this season. We still think we can win. We brought this fella in. I mean, people are even talking about 2 now. We've gone from, we're not going to buy any, so we might buy 2. I mean, Mustafi seems to be getting kicked around a lot because he's available for next to nothing and can just be brought in. I mean, I'm not too sure about that, but and then the other lad, is it Botta? I think he's called. I haven't heard of him either. I'm not massive on watching. I don't know how people find the time to watch all this football where they know about every single player around the world. I'm just obsessed with Liverpool, but I'll trust the fact that Liverpool have got a worldwide network of scouts and they've got fellas who work day in, day out on looking at it. I've no doubt that they've got a list, and it's just the money and the structure of payments and things like that. I think that's what will be, playing a part on whether they get someone or not by Monday at 11 o'clock. But fingers crossed, because I really do think it can make a massive difference to Liverpool's season.
Brilliant. Well, listen, before I let you go, what are you and the boys at the Anfield Wrap up to at the moment?
Yeah, as ever, busy, mate. So loads of stuff building up to the West Ham game. We'll be doing stuff, before, during and after, as ever. We've actually got a bit of a thing on at the moment as well. We're always wary that, we do put some stuff out for free. So Talking Reds is out there free on the YouTube channel. We put the Weekender out for free. That's out there today, building up to the weekend's game, but also looking back to Spurs. And then there's the podcast at the start of the week, which will always be free, the Anfield Wrap. That's what we've always said. But the subscription package, we are wary that, perhaps people who don't subscribe, don't know what it's about, don't know what they're getting for the money, aren't sure, and that kind of thing. So we've got a bit of a thing on at the moment that if you download the app, you'll get 1,000 free tokens on there. And that allows you to purchase the premium, paywalled, whatever you want to call it, content. So you can have a bit of a look at the post-match pint. You can have a look at, you can delve into the archive if you want. You can do whatever you want with the tokens, and it might just give you an idea, we're hoping, of what it's all about, and you might be convinced to give it a go. So, yeah, download the Anfield app and have a look.
Brilliant. Well, listen, Gareth, thanks very much, mate. Appreciate chatting to you again, and hope we get 3 points on Sunday as well.
Fingers crossed.
Cheers,
mate.